Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to everyone. Thank you, Datuk Jevan. Thank you, Rachel, and the team for inviting me to this webinar. So we have heard my colleagues Jacqueline and Engineer Saiful. So I think it makes my work a little bit easier. They have set the foundation understanding of circular economy. So I'll be talking as an architect and academic. So you have to bear with the way I'm presenting this. I consider this as a sharing session where I will share my understanding of circular economy from the design perspective. So there will be some information that are embedded in my presentation that I will not go into detail, but the viewers, if you have the slides, can go into detail. Some are very long videos, some are articles, and so on. So I would like to start with revisiting the principles. There are three principles, as mentioned by Jacqueline and also repeated by Engineer Saiful. The three of them are interrelated, and I would like to suggest that if you can use these four keywords: design, waste, materials, and regenerate, in diagram, which I should have put in a diagram. We start with design. When we design, we have an objective. What we have the end in mind. So the end in mind is regeneration or regenerate. And in order to design, we must have resource, we must have materials, and materials will become waste. Waste will become materials. That is the process. To me, these three principles can be viewed in that one diagram. Design on the left, regenerate on the right, materials on top, waste at the bottom, which circulates, and that is the circular economy. Okay, thank you. Can we go on? Next slide, please. Okay, design in circular economy is integral in the shift to the circular economy. We cannot separate design from circular economy. Everything has to start with design. Any object, any service, any business, we have to design, we have to plan, but we must have the objective, and the objective here is as I mentioned, regeneration, a new product, and we give life to the product or to the environment, especially now, is our sustainable development goals objective. So, okay, next please. Okay, I'm as an academic, I'm going back a little bit to the circular economy. How was this born? How circular economy came about? It depends on several schools of thought, and these are the school of thought: cradle to cradle, performance economy, regenerative design, biomimicry, industrial ecology, natural capitalism, the blue economy, the Club of Rome. This may not be exhaustive, but these are the main ones that has been highlighted by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So just for information, cradle to cradle was developed by William McDonough, an architect, and Michael Braungart, an chemist. And performance economy was written by Walter Stahel, who happened to be also an architect, but he was looking into, he's still alive, I think, also William McDonough. And the third one is regenerative design, also by a designer, but landscape architect, John Lyle, and of course biomimicry by biologists and so on. So the influence of designers in circular economy is shown here. Can we go to the next, please? Oh, I would like to go a little bit back step back, looking at the design principle, how it developed. So when the world was looking forward to the emergence or to the dawn of the 21st century, we were preparing for that by having an Expo 2000 in the city of Hanover. So the city of Hanover commissioned William McDonough and Michael Braungart to develop a set of guidelines for the development of those structures, those buildings for the Expo 2000. And they have developed these 9 principles, which are known as, excuse me, which are known as Hanover principles. So you can find that the one that I have highlighted in red are the ones that seem to be familiar, especially number 6, eliminate the concept of waste. And then number 5, long-term value, and so on. So I'm just going back. This is the period about a decade before the 21st century. Excuse me. When the Earth Summit also was held in Rio in 1992. So next, please. Okay, having touched on the World Expo buildings principle, design principle for building for the World Expo, this is also the period when buildings were getting attention for their certification. So this is the burst of, in 1990, the Green Building Assessment Tool was first developed in Britain by the Building Research Establishment. So you can see from this, this diagram, it developed as BREEAM in the UK and then LEED in the US and so on. In Japan, it was CASB. In Australia, it was Green Star. In Singapore, it was a Green Mark. And in Malaysia, we have Green Building Index, GBI, which was developed in 2009. At the same time, other tools were developed in Malaysia, Green RE and MICRES. Next, please. So just a little bit about the Green Building Index, which to me is a starting point for circular design. This is a part of the progress. So we can go. I have given a link that you can go for details at the bottom. But I hope this the diagram speaks for itself. Next, please. Okay, these are examples of certified township projects, actual projects. The first one, the one that is platinum, that is the highest standard, is Tun Razak Exchange. And second one, silver, Sunway Resort City. Next one, please. For buildings, there are examples of the gold, silver, and certified. Next, please. And there is a document which has been finalized by the European Commission, European Union, that is called Circular Economy Principles for Building Design. And I have given the document is in this link, the whole document that you can open for further detail. So I'm giving example of one of the possible ways of designing a building, which is called reversible architecture. There are six actual examples that have been built. So, okay, this is an example of designing for zero waste, actually, where this building can be dismantled and reassembled at another site, or reassembled at another site, or reassembled as another building, repurpose of building. So you can go to the link at the bottom there for further details. Can you go to the next one, please? Oh, sorry, can I go back to that? There was an example here, experimental example by staff of the architecture department in USIM, University of Science Islam, USIM, Dr. Zain Kandar, who had actually have done one project that they have actually built in modular form, and then they got this dismantled it, and then they brought to somewhere in the Middle East. I cannot remember the location, and they reassemble the whole building for some purpose. So I have not got the details, but I was informed and I actually saw the model of this building. If you can contact USIM, Department of Architecture, Dr. Zain Kandar. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, circular design, there has a terminology which is made to be made again. So circular design is about creating products and services that have more, to me, more than one life cycle. So one life cycle is cradle to grave. If you have more than one cycle, cradle to cradle, where you are given birth again, for a few times. And the person who coined this word is Tim Brown, who is the CEO of the famous American design company, IDEO. And I think there is a video by him. Can we play that video, please? Hello?
Explaining the circular economy at some level is very simple. Circle. Easy idea, right? We can all picture a circle. And we can also picture a line, right? So the idea that our modern industrial economy was designed around a line that starts by digging stuff out of the ground and ends by throwing stuff away. And somewhere in the middle, there's a point in which you produce something valuable and we, as consumers, buy that thing and use that thing, but then we throw it away. And it makes perfect sense, right? It's a way of going from nothing to something. The trouble is you end up with a something at the end that's of no value but to anybody, and it's filling up the planet, and you've used up those materials. But this idea of like taking that line and kind of bending it round into a circle and saying the stuff that we use to create value for us as consumers, there's no reason why it can't continue to be used. Either that thing gets continued to be used, that product or whatever it is stays valuable, or we take the materials from it and reuse them in some way. I feel better as a designer, I feel better as a member of society if I'm creating things and I'm using things that I can do as much of that as I like, and it's not going to be bad for the planet. In fact, it's going to be good for the planet. It's going to maybe help restore things, not just not damage things. And so that sense of meaning that comes from designing and using and experiencing things that we could do for a long, long time, that everybody on the planet could do instead of just a privileged few, that's a pretty special feeling, and that's the feeling I want to have about everything that we design. I hope the guide is it's a moment when many, many more designers can kind of embark on that journey of learning and embark on that journey of change and just get started and begin to design just a little bit differently.
Yeah, okay. Actually, this video is embedded in the circular design guideline. Next, please. Okay, I have. Can we skip this? Actually, I skipped. Okay, the 5 principles of circular design by the guideline is starting with prioritize the use of local material as well as or readily available material. Second is to pursue optimization of resources and also decrease energy. Third is to seek product durability, repairability, upcycling, and so on. Number 4 is zero waste, aim for zero waste. And number 5 is to have continuous improvement of the product. Next. And this, the method is actually following the idea of design thinking. When we design, there is a kind of approach or procedure, which is called design thinking. Some of you may be familiar, which has been promoted since 2000, I think. It has been used in not only product design, but also business design in corporate world. So that is an area that I would like to promote. If there are some experts here in Malaysia who can assist us in promoting design thinking. Actually, it is how to find solutions in product design or even service or business model and so on. Next one, please. So the principles of from the initial circular design guideline has been adopted by D.S. Smith, but they have slightly adopted differently. They start with product brand, then optimize the material structure, maintain, maximize, and the fifth one is of course improvement. Next one, please. So Nike has its own principle. Got 10, starting with material, and then looking at the cyclability, waste avoidance, disassembly, green chemistry, refurbishment, versatility, durability, packaging, and new models. And in case of Nike, according to the design thinking, where they have to understand the athletes, and this is how they have done get a solution for the athletes' needs in terms of wear and so on. Next, please. There is a link that you can get further details on this at the bottom. Okay, these are some of the other design products that have been listed by Ellen MacArthur Foundation in this link. Among them is a company that deals with carpets. You know, carpets, the older they are, the more expensive. And then in terms of building, finding and utilizing waste material from construction purposes, if you look into detail, there's by one company. And the third example I've given here is about manufacturing. So again, the details are in the link. Next, please. Okay, I'm going to regenerative design, and starting this with a short video by Daniel Ward. What is regenerative design?
Bill Reed's framework really helped me to understand sustainability in a different way, showing that as we move from business as usual, the unsustainable practice, to green, which is just tweaking our behavior a little bit, being a little bit less bad, but still having a negative impact, to sustainable, 100% less bad, but doesn't actually give back and restore the damage we've already done on this planet. We're moving beyond sustainable design to restorative design, which means reforesting, creating new ecosystems, but it's still within the mindset of man over nature. So the next step beyond that even is reconciliatory design, which we reconcile the relationship between humanity and nature, include culture in nature, and create a world where our designs express that. And even beyond that, we move towards regenerative design, which is creating cultures that are able to work creatively with disruptions rather than to avoid them, to be resilient to change, because change is the only constant that we have on this planet, and be able to hand over to the next generation a richer, more regenerative, more resilient system than we received from the previous. So the idea of moving beyond sustainable design to regenerative design is key in the move towards a sustainable culture.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's just reflect on this graph where it has been shown in the video. I would like to focus on the right column. You can see the conventional practice at the bottom. This is where building, I'm talking in terms of a designer of the built environment. So we have been designing according to the law. Yeah, we cannot break the law. There is a uniform building bylaw for building, and there are some planning guides and so on. But we want to, at the moment, we have gone to the green, above it, green relative improvement. And the next stage will be to the sustainable stage, where neutral point, we have not even reached that. So we are at the moment on the second step only. What we want to reach is at the top, regenerative. Of course, it will take time. So as mentioned in the video, we need to go to restorative stage, reconciliatory stage before we can reach the ideal situation of regenerative. But we are striving. We have made a start, at least for the green. Next one, please. So these are the terminologies used in design according to the scale and the effect on the ecology. We start with a green building, LEED. Then there is a living building challenge, a certification of whole development. There is biomimicry, design according to biomimicry. And then as you go further, biophilia design, restorative design, regenerative design, and regenerative development. According to the scale, as we go higher, and then more effect on the environment. Next, please. So regenerative design, as defined here by this artwork, is an approach to shape and form a system that seeks to reverse environmental degradation by creating positive impacts. So the main thing is to have positive impact. A building that can contribute to the cooling of the environment, or to make things improve rather than you make things worse for the environment. So at the moment, our buildings, some of our buildings are rejecting solar energy. You know, you have to reflect the sun and so on. But why not we absorb the solar energy as plants do? We will see later on. Next, please. Okay, this is a document by a group which is called Regenesis. The practicing designers of many disciplines. And then there is a video that describes this by Bill Reed. He's one of the principals. I'm not going to detail, but these are the details that you can go into. This is the source. Sorry. Next, please. Okay, this is the one that I'm talking about. Design buildings like trees, and then plant cities like forests. This is promoted by William McDonough. Again, we can see his name. And the details of this you can get from the link they are given. One is about the tree, how the tree function, and the other one is about the idea of building like trees and cities like forests. Next, please. Okay, this is what's happening at the moment as a follow-through for the concept of building like trees. This architect, Dr. Neril Oxman, she's a professor at MIT. She's looking into material ecology as a design philosophy, as a research area, and scientific approach. That means technology that explores, informs, and expresses interrelationship between the built, the grown, and the augmented. So she's looking into materials like biocomposite, silk, even glass. No, glass is the most expensive material for building. So she's exploring how to manufacture glass that can change characteristics over time and over energy use. So there's a link here, a very interesting future-looking research. Next, please. Okay, this is about my last. This is about my last slide about what we can do. This is a framework. This is called Resolve framework. Resolve comes from the initial word, the initial character of this these actions that we can do. The first one is given as regenerate. Second one is sharing economy and so on. Optimize, loop, that means cycle, virtualize, and exchanges. You can go into details on this. So these are the simple actions that we can focus on. Next slide, please. Okay, I have two videos actually here. One is the one on regenerative design by SAP, a technology company, which is a short video. And the last one is a visualization of what Singapore can be, taking into consideration circular design and so on. So this is by a well-known architect firm in Singapore, WOHA. So I think we will play the first one, but the second one we'll leave it to the audience to view on their own. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for.
We have a video.
Okay.
The environmental state of the world is pretty bad. That's really forcing more and more people to ask what next, to look for solutions.
By 2050, if some dramatic action isn't done, there'll be more items of plastic in the world's oceans than living creatures.
We need to commit to not only limiting harm, but we also have a much more proactive approach to the future. We need to find a way to coexist and to be prosperous.
We really need to look at the linear take, make, waste model. We need to look at something different, and we think that that different model could be a circular economy. Circular economy is really based on 3 principles: to eliminate waste and pollution, to keep products and materials in use for longer, and to regenerate natural systems.
Well, design is a tool. It's a problem-solving tool primarily. Many of the big global issues that we face in today can be addressed by design thinking.
We need you, the brilliant designers of products, packaging, clothing, objects we use every single day to help us create a better future, a more sustainable future, a regenerative future. The beauty of tech is it can act as an accelerator. It's an enabler to support design of new products and new systems, and in turn supports the sustainable change that we simply must make.
Designers have a huge role to play in the shift to a circular economy, but also millions of other people who are involved in the design process. And we estimate that's about 160 million people globally. I would ask designers, business leaders, to look a bit further down the track and ask what the future holds. What policy changes are coming? What are citizens asking for? And what supply chain risks do they expose themselves to if they are constantly dependent on finite resources that come out of a hole in the ground? The circular economy is really about regeneration. So not just reducing the harm and trying to do a bit less bad over time, but actually to have a positive impact, to restore, to regenerate, so that the future gets a bit better rather than just a bit less worse.
SAP solutions touch 77% of the world's material flows. We really are unique in our ability to provide that end-to-end visibility that no other companies can do. Sustainability has, maybe for too long, been an add-on in a business strategy. Through technology, we have the opportunity, and it really is an opportunity to design the processes and databases required for designers everywhere.
And that's really the opportunity here. We can just look around us and say, how could you redesign that for a circular economy?
It's truly time for designers to have the insight that they need to make informed, circular design choices and enable the circular economy itself.